the rough that grows. Past was dark, but light you found. Love has turned your life around. Helping others, showing grace. In your strength, we see your face. Through the storms and through the pain, hope and love have kept you safe. Building dreams and helping hand. In your story, courage stand. Shining bright, you rise above. Heal with kindness, filled with love. Forgiveness is the road you chose. Diamond in the rough that grows. Through the storms and through the pain, hope and love have kept you safe. Building dreams and helping hand. In your story, courage stand. Shining bright, you rise above. Heal with kindness, filled with love. Forgiveness is the road you chose. Diamond in the rough that grows. Shining bright, rise above. Heal with kindness, filled with love. Forgiveness is the road you chose. Diamond in the rough that grows. Rough that grows.
Greetings, beautiful human. My name is AJ, owner of AJ Inc., Triple M Coaching, founder of our home planet on the interwebs, hack-yourself.net. Thank you for joining me today on this episode of Healing in Nature. Our topic today is, who am I outside of trauma? Who am I once I'm safe? And we are streaming from Depot Bay, Oregon today, and we have the ocean behind us. I said it a couple of episodes ago. Soon you will see a different background. And here we are. I'm so glad you joined me today. Like I said, my name is AJ. I'm a human programmer, and I help my clients rewire the unconscious programs of self-sabotage. And if you're here with me today on this episode of Healing in Nature, that is exactly what we are going to do. Well, thank you for joining me today for this Healing in Nature live Zoom event. Today's topic is, who are you without survival? Rebuilding identity after control, trauma, and conditioning. So happy that you've chosen to join me for this beautiful moment. And with our background with the ocean at Depot Bay, Oregon Ocean, today is going to be an exciting time for us to find out who we are outside of survival state. Most people think that healing is about fixing what is broken. But real healing asks a much deeper question. Who am I when I don't need to survive anymore? Many people heal symptoms, but never rebuild an actual identity. Survival becomes their own personality. And when survival loosens, people feel confused, empty, or even lost. And think something is wrong. So that's what we're going to talk about today. That confusion is not failure. It is space. Space to remember who you are. I worked with someone not too long ago who had just left a high control religious environment, and on the outside, everything looked fine. They were free, no rules made by men, no constant judgments. But inside, they felt untethered. They told me, I thought leaving would feel like relief, but instead I feel anxious and empty, like I lost my map. And as we talked, something became very clear. They hadn't lost themselves. They had lost the survival compass that they had told themselves who to be. Their nervous system had been trained to orient toward approval, obedience, and fear. So when that system disappeared, the body didn't know where to point. And once we stopped trying to fix that feeling and instead understood it, the disorientation softened. Over time, they learned that they didn't need a new belief system. They simply needed internal safety. And as their body learned that safety would come from within, a new direction emerged. Not forced, not rushed, but chosen. And that's when they said something I hear a lot now. I finally feel like I'm living from myself, not for something else. Leaving didn't break them. It revealed the next phase of healing. I also worked with someone who recently left an addictive cycle. They were doing everything right. They were staying sober, stable, consistent, but they came to me confused and ashamed. They said, why do I feel bored and restless when things are finally calm? And this is something many people don't expect. When chaos has been your nervous system's normal, peace can feel wrong. As we explored it together, they realized something important. The chaos had given them direction, urgency, intensity, a reason to move. And without it, there was space. At first, that space felt terrifying. But as we worked with the body, not against it, this space became possibility. They didn't need to recreate the chaos. They needed to learn how to live without needing survival to feel alive. And the moment they understood that, all the shame disappeared and curiosity took its place. So if calm feels uncomfortable, it doesn't mean you're broken. It simply means that your system is recalibrating. This last client I'm going to tell you about, I think of often. They had spent their entire life being the strong one, the responsible one, the one who held everything together. And when they finally began healing and stopped over-functioning, they looked at me and said, I don't know who I am if I'm not needed. That realization can feel terrifying. because survival had become the identity. We didn't rush to answer that question. We didn't replace it with a new role. Instead, we let the nervous system experience something new. Rest without guilt. Choice without justification. Worth without productivity. And slowly, very slowly, they didn't find an identity. They simply grew into one. One rooted in preference, in values, in self-trust. And finally, one day they said, I'm not performing anymore. I'm just living. I share these stories because they're not rare. They're what happens when people begin healing the right layer. Not just the thoughts, but the entire nervous system underneath. And if any part of these stories feel familiar, that's not coincidence. That's recognition. What survival really is. Survival mode is hypervigilance, people pleasing, over-functioning, perfectionism, self-abandonment, emotional numbing, control, or collapse. Survival was never who you are. Survival is simply how you adapt. You see, a child learns to be good to avoid punishment. Partners learn to stay quiet to avoid conflict. Business owners tie worth to productivity. And survivors learn to scan for danger constantly. So why does safety feel empty at first? Well, you see, the nervous system has been busy for years trying to keep you safe. And so when that threat disappears, the energy drops. The system needs to recalibrate. Peace can feel like boredom when your body is used to chaos. Reminds me of a quote I read once that said, when you're raised in trauma, red flags, when you're raised in trauma, red flags feel like butterflies. So here's an example. If you live next to a freeway, you would slowly get used to the road noise. And then if you found yourself sleeping somewhere else where it was silent, the silence might feel wrong at first. But eventually, over time, the body will adjust to the silence. So has anyone here ever felt uncomfortable when things finally got quiet? You can comment your answer in the video. I've heard people say, yes, I start self-sabotaging when things get quiet, or I create problems because I'm bored. And most of the times the answer is because I miss the intensity. And that's what happens when our identity is built in survival. We get the identity of the fixer, the caretaker, the rebel, the achiever, the invisible one, or the strong one. These roles kept us alive, but they are not flaws. So we need to ask ourselves, when we find ourselves in this state, who do I have to be to stay safe? And you might find that you had to be quiet, or perfect, or useful, or strong to be safe. Notice how none of these are desires. Each one of these are strategies. So how do we let the survival mode die? There is grief in healing. We lose the identity that protected us, and we may miss the version of ourselves that knew the rules, or the time when there were definite rules. We don't shame survival. We thank it and let it retire with honor. I had to go through this when I left the Jehovah's Witness cult and my high control narcissistic family. It took me a long time to let go of hustle, let go of righteousness, and let go of proving myself. And even to this day, sometimes I don't feel like I'm worth something unless I'm helping someone. So these are things that I have to watch for on a daily. Letting go of hustle was really hard because I'm starting a business, and everything in our culture right now tells us that we're supposed to hustle in order to start a business. But I found the exact opposite to be true. The moment I quit hustling and I started taking care of myself and prioritizing rest and peace, I was able to create my business with no effort at all. So this grief that we feel from this change does not mean that we want to go back. It just simply means that something mattered. That time in our life mattered. The people we may have lost, the routines that we lost, that mattered to us. And that's okay. That proves that we want the best for ourselves and others. It proves that we just want good. So it doesn't mean we want to go back. So what we need to find out instead of going back then is, who are we without survival? And we can figure this out by reframing this question. This isn't something you figure out. It's something you feel into. For some of us, we've been in survival our whole lives, so we never got to know who we are. We can figure it out by what we like now after what we survived, but we never stop to figure out who we are inside. And so we have to do this by being curious, by being slow, values-based, and body-led. We've spent this much time of our lives leading with our mind and ignoring our body. We need to let our body lead, and it needs to be choice-driven. We need to give ourselves choices as if we were a child. As identity emerges from safety, not from pressure. So here's a few questions you can ask yourself, and if you want, you can comment in the comments. What do I enjoy without urgency? If I have nothing else to do, what do I choose to do? What feels nourishing, not impressive? What activity do I engage in that feels like relief? What feels like truth in my body? nowadays it's kind of hard because a lot of people years ago would take up an instrument, would take up a sport. But nowadays, the instrument and the sport are our cell phones. And so it might be good to get into exploring if you want to play an instrument. Even if you're older, even if you're in your 40s or 50s, it's not too late to learn an instrument. It's not too late to start singing. It's not too late to start painting if you've never done it before. You might be the next world famous painter and maybe you've just never tried it before. But I hear with these questions, what do I do without urgency? What feels like relief? I hear people say, I like being alone. I like creating. I like quiet. I don't know yet, but I'm curious. And when you get to that point where you're curious, then you know you're going to be able to figure it out, because not knowing is the doorway. So the next section here, we're going to get into a few safe identity experiments. We don't need to leap into new identities. We experiment gently. So here are some examples. You can decide to try to say no one time, maybe even to something that you could do. Just try saying no instead of yes. You could schedule rest without earning it. Maybe schedule a rest on your weekend. Choose based on your desire, not on the group around you. Or letting yourself be seen imperfectly. You do this on purpose. You could purposely go out in an outfit you normally wouldn't wear that doesn't match, or a shirt with the stain on it. So for each of the different groups of my clients, we can ask parents, what does parenting feel like when I am regulated? When I'm not trying to control whether my child's regulated, what does it look like when I keep myself regulated? Business owners, what would you build if fear wasn't driving your actions? What would you build if building was the reason, not fear of not having fun? Abuse survivors, what do you want without any justification, just because you want it? Or for CPTSD recovery, what feels safe enough to try today? These are all good places to start in rebuilding an identity outside of survival mode. And I have a little gift for you. The next section is going to be a guided meditation to install self-confidence and peace and love. So find a comfortable spot, sit back, and enjoy. Before we move on, I'd like to invite you into a few quiet moments. There's nothing you need to do. No right way to experience this. Just allowing yourself to listen. And you don't have to close your eyes. But if they do close, that's fine. And if they stay open, that's fine too. Just notice that you're here, supported by whatever is beneath you, held by gravity. And as you listen to the sound of my voice, you might notice that your attention can rest not on the past, not on the future, but right here. And you can pretend, just pretend, that for the next few moments, you're giving your nervous system permission to not solve anything. And as you sit here, you may notice your breath, not changing it at all, just noticing it. And with each natural breath out, it is possible that something softens just a little. Your shoulders, your jaw, your belly. And as your body remembers something important, that right now, in this moment, there is no immediate danger. And even if your mind is still alert, your body can begin to learn what safety feels like. Because safety isn't something you think. It's something you experience. As your body settles, you may begin to notice something else. That you are here with yourself. And you don't need approval. You don't need permission. And you don't need to perform. Your nervous system can simply learn that you are a safe place to land. That you can feel your emotions safely without being overwhelmed. That you can notice sensations without needing to escape them. And this is what self-reliance really is. Not doing everything alone, but knowing that you can be present even when things are uncomfortable. And as this settles, your emotions begin to rest and reset. Not to numbness, but to neutrality, to calm, to safety. Imagine that survival has been working very hard for a very long time. And you can thank it for protecting you. And then gently let it know that it doesn't need to work so hard right now. That it can rest. That you're here now. And when survival rests, something else emerges. Clarity, choice, space, and your body begins to tune itself to a new frequency, one of enough, one of safety, one of presence. And in a moment, you can begin to bring your attention back at your own pace. You don't have to rush. You don't have to snap away. You can take a slightly deeper breath. Feel the space around you. Feel the ground beneath you. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Or simply notice the room again. Carrying with you that sense of safety. You don't need to rush into becoming. You don't need a new identity tonight. You just need permission to let survival rest while you figure it out. There's no pressure, no fixing, just witnessing. And if you want to continue this conversation and join me on Zoom, the link is in the description to this video. The passcode is 1133, and I would love to join you. I will be on for another hour after the premiere of this video, so please join me if you feel moved. Thank you so much for joining me with this week's episode of Healing in Nature. Happy New Year to everyone. It is a new year, and we are going to just keep going. We are going to keep learning about mental health, how our brains get stuck, and most importantly, I'm going to keep showing you how nothing on the outside of you is a problem. It's all the programming on the inside. And once we get this programming fixed, everything on the outside changes. And in order to help you with that, I am going to be starting this week my Balanced Life Wheel Mastermind. This is going to be a mastermind group where we delve into each area of the 12 spokes of life, from mental health to your home life, to your romantic relationships, to your career. And we are going to work on increasing each of those areas 1% every day together as a group. This is a powerful class. It's designed for massive change. I only plan that people will be involved in this class for a few months and their life will change so much that they won't need it anymore. So if you are interested in joining me for that, or my Outcomes Mastermind, where we learn how to meditate and put future outcomes in our timeline, please text me 360-798 2184. And if you stayed clear till the end, I thank you so much for putting all this time and effort into your mental health. You're definitely changing the world. I love you very much, and I'm grateful for you. Have a great day. Well, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Healing in Nature podcast. I hope you found some insight on how to grow into your new identity with today's episode. And if you have made it this far in the video, I'm so grateful that you've spent this precious moment with me today. Please leave a comment about how you are doing in your journey with mental health. I hope you've enjoyed the beautiful ocean in the background. I traveled many miles to bring you this view. So thanks again for joining me. I appreciate all of you guys. I love you all. Have a great day.
Close your eyes and dive right in. World unknown, a journey begins. Steer your thoughts, shift your fate. Hack yourself, don't wait, don't hesitate. Waves of sound, guide your dreams. Ancient wisdom, modern schemes. Business goals, life's grand design. Unlock the power of your own mind. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song. Inner voices, shouts and whispers. Fear and courage, pain and blisters. Break the chains that bind you tight. Through the darkness comes the light. Trust yourself, stand firm, believe. Through the trance, start to receive guidance, clarity from within. With each breath, let change begin. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song. Hypnotize your mind, find your way. Self-hypnosis every day. Coach yourself, rise up strong. This is your mantra, this is your song. Inner voices, shouts and whispers. Fear and courage, pain and blisters. Break the chains that bind you tight. Through the darkness comes the light. Inner voices, shouts and whispers. Fear and courage, pain and blisters. Break the chains that bind you tight. Through the darkness comes the light.